Wouldn't mind getting back to be able to watch that. So this is going to be a little bit different format than we normally do. Normally I have a video we present, but this time I wanted right now my partner in these town halls, Tom Lewis, was on a wonderful solo cross-country motorcycle trip, and unfortunately he passed away. He had an accident and passed away. So as a result, I'm borrowing folks here helping me do some, at least getting video captured here, but I don't have my usual audio video type of presentation tonight. So one thing, we definitely, a couple things we want to make sure we cover, and that is the petitions themselves, and I'll talk a little bit about that. Maybe I'll have, I think I can do that. I might have Bobby come up and help with that, because keeping that straight is very important. And getting that, because this is not your typical town and the typical clerk situation. There's very much a lot of, anyways, there's a lot of influencing going on. We'll call it that, influencing. And so we can expect they're going to try to find anything, even the slightest thing wrong with the petitions in order to throw them out. So our target, of course, is to more than double what we need. So what do we need as far as minimum? Well, the clerk normally, the clerk gives you as part of your acceptance of the petitions exactly the number you need to meet. Unfortunately, our clerk didn't do that and refused to do that, which is kind of unusual. But we know that we need 25% of the total number of votes cast in the last election for that office. So in general, that's about 543 for mayor, and so basically about we would like to target about 600 minimum, but of course we'd like to be over 1,000, and I think we can do that. We're already doing it pretty good. I had a great attendance on Friday night. I know that there was somebody that did some and already filled up his, so I think we're doing pretty darn good. I have the petitions over here. What we need to do is need to staple them before you start signing them. They will get us on that, even though that's not technically illegal. That's just one of the things that they're going to be looking for. And the last thing we want to do is have to now go to court to change that situation. Okay, so with that, we have 5 petitions to be signed for 5 trustees. The only one that is not being recalled is Matt Holcomb. Matt Holcomb is a fantastic trustee. He's been a trustee prior. He has very vast experience on the board himself. He was also in the planning commission and other things, but he has a lot of experience, and he in no way is in support of anything that has been going on. As a matter of fact, when they did their little shenanigans where they voted to sell themselves a piece of the town property, which you could say is illegal, but wink, wink, nudge, nudge, kind of stuff goes on. He refused to participate in that. He voted no, and he absolutely refused to have anything transferred to him. So, hats off to Matt for that. Matt is unfortunately the sole voice on the board at this point. So it's very difficult for him to even just talk, because they silence him, they ignore him. They'll do anything to marginalize his appearance on the board. So with that, I want to make sure that we get him. John, where's John? I just saw him. John, do you mind standing up? This is John Dansma. John Dansma, there's
The gray file.
John is currently running for there is one open seat on the board right now. That was from Linda Haney. She had some health issues, and it was best that for her health to step aside. As much as she would love to have stayed on the board and muscled through. It was just a best for her. Let's face it, we want everybody to put yourself first. Your own health first before you move on. So her seat has been vacant for a while, and so John is running for that open seat. There are two other candidates. One, I can't remember his name, Michael or?
Michael Mallett.
Okay, I don't know anything about Michael. He's probably a wonderful man, but John has he has experience on our board. He has served on our board previously. I served with John on the board, and I had the pleasure of that. And he's currently with the Planning Commission. And there's some real shenanigans going on there. We have two members of the Planning Commission here, so they both are in this room right now because of the shenanigans that's being pulled. But anyways, so John has a lot of experience. That's why, and then Samantha Meering is the other candidate. Samantha also served on the board. She served for 8 years. She is a very nice person. However, she's part of the reason we have AJ. When we were looking for go and hire a new town manager, Samantha was very adamant. She right there in the board meeting, she said adamantly, we need to do a national search. And the whole board, including myself, we all nodded our heads, we all agreed, yes, we need to do a national search. Well, we ended up with AJ. We didn't do a national search, we didn't publish it, we didn't interview anybody, nobody. Not a single candidate was interviewed, was even considered for this position. It was just AJ. And that's where, Samantha kind of, for somebody who said, we need to do a national search, all of a sudden to say, oh no, AJ is the greatest thing since sliced bread. So I don't think that she's the right candidate in this particular scenario. So I'm putting my support behind John Dansma. And I would love it if people would give him the opportunity and the honor of serving this community. If you can do that at the ballot box in November, that would be great. So there's another question going to be on the ballot, and I think it's called 2J.
Yes.
2J. That question is to move the election. Our elections are always on the first Tuesday in April of even years. The board is proposing moving the election to November of even years. That would move their tenure. They get an additional 7 months on the board. So, is that really what we want? I don't know. I don't think so. But also, now I'm going to just say, there's arguments for and against going to November, and any other time, I would not be up here even saying to vote no on that. But I am asking to vote no on this time. We can always revisit it again next year if folks want to do that. We can certainly do that. I would like to keep it in April, to keep it a local election. And people that vote would be voting on the local issues and not get it mixed in with the national stuff that gets buried in there, and who knows what, let's face it, people that generally vote no on stuff, if they don't know what it is. And you put it in November, you can pretty much assume that you're gonna have a real uphill battle for anything that would be a local anything in November, my experience. So that's that. Another question that came up is, AJ is now resigned. He is leaving as of, I think, November 1st or somewhere about then.
Yeah.
November 5th.
November 5th, okay. He, of course, he could stay.
What?
He could stay, but I'm gonna say probably, he sees the writing on the wall. He's done this before. This isn't his first rodeo. He's been through this, and sometimes he doesn't get, he doesn't leave in time and he gets fired. Other times he sees the writing on the wall and he resigns before he gets fired. So, he's been through this, he knows. So, but what does that mean now that he's gone? Do we still need a recall? Well, I think there is.
Yeah.
One of the things we need to recall is the same people that are on the board now are the same ones, the 5, that think AJ walks on water. And if they're that disconnected from the community and what we want, that tells me that I can't trust them in any decision that they would make when it comes to hiring a new town manager. So the faster we can get new people in, the faster we can get control of and have sanity around the process of selecting a new town manager. So that's one reason. Yes?
Drew, concerning that, I just got a notice, and I think maybe others did too, to the town that October 8th, the Board of Trustees meeting, they are going to have an executive session to discuss how they're gonna go about selecting and the legal ramifications of an interim town manager in town.
Okay.
So they're gonna start talking about it
Okay.
officially then in executive session, so. it's
Yeah,
not-
that's a bad thing. They should not be doing that in executive session. That is not what executive sessions are for. Executive sessions are for receiving legal advice from the council, usually around negotiations of contracts and those kinds of things. They're things that you don't wanna have out in the public. But to have an executive session for the purpose of deciding how you're going to select a town manager, that's absolutely absurd. And in my opinion, it might even be outright illegal. That it would actually violate the open records, what we call it sunshine law, where you cannot have things that are not public. And this, I don't think that having a discussion about how you're going to select the next town manager, that should be out in public. Now, I will tell you, so now along the lines of how do you normally do a selection of a town manager, first thing you do is that we have an organization called the Colorado Municipal League. And it is we'll call it a professional organization that all the towns, pretty much all towns, belong to. It's a great organization. They have a list of retired town managers that are available for short-term assignments like this. And it's a great way to go. You pick somebody from that list, and all their job is to do is to keep the wheels on the cart. They're not there to try, no agenda, no moving forward on anything. And they are retired, so they have no desire to be a permanent town manager. So that's usually what happens, and then you start the process of doing a national search. You set criteria for what you expect of your town manager's qualifications to be, and then you go out and you post in national publications to get candidates, and then you whittle it down to a few, and then you have your interview process, and then you have your selection process. That's how typically a town manager is selected. So, anyways, so beyond that, why do we need to have a recall besides the town manager itself position? There are things that they're still wanting to do that the people in this room you represent we have, I don't know, 100 or so. You can bet that there's 9 more of you for every one of you in this room. Yes?
What are those things?
I'm about to go right in there. So we know that we know about Central Park. I'll just turn that off here in a little bit. We know about Central Park. You know, it's sad when your Mayor Pro Tem actually posts on Nextdoor exactly what we wanted from Central Park, what we wanted for it. And then he posted it, he put it right out there. But then you go, but none of your plans for Central Park have addressed anything on that list. I mean, I gotta be honest, I live in St. Vrain Ranch, and I don't want that big, massive, soccer stadium right outside the door of my neighborhood. That's just crazy. Second.
Don't wanna end up.
So, we need to get back to getting back to, and by the way, just so you know, the town in the last 7 years has done surveys. We paid professional survey companies, we've paid, professional consultants to come in. We even have still have, the signs up around Central Park with a code, a QR code, so that you can give your opinion. If you try it, it doesn't work. Never did. So, we spent a lot of money. I would say somewhere in the neighborhood of $500,000 at least so far, with the exception of the $250,000 they just signed to this ridiculous, soccer stadium project that they wanna do. And it comes out always the same. You go back to what Butch Wald and Rick Patterson and all the others that were on the board back then, what they've envisioned and what the people wanted is exactly the same as every single survey, and every single time that they've asked, they got the exact same response from the people. Exactly the same. Yet here we are. They throw all that out, they waste all that money, and then we turn around and here we are. And it would be nice to just have somebody do it. Before we didn't have the money, we're a small little town. But today we can do those things. We don't need to build Central Park out in one fell swoop. Let's just get, an amphitheater, a place for people to sit and watch concerts or watch events or whatever. Some community-oriented activities that can be done at Central Park. Those can be done really easy. How can we fund that? Well, number one, we have a sales tax already in place. Folks don't know that, but we have a 1% sales tax that's designated to improvements, capital improvements to roads and parks. You pay a 1% sales tax, and that money is to go to roads and parks. Roads, we'd have plenty of funding for those things. That money could easily go to parks. The next thing is, we have another tax on occupancy tax on the hotels that we have out there at the highway there. It's a $2 a night tax. Sorry, folks, I'm gonna turn this. All right, it's a $2 a night tax. It's been that way since 1980, I think. I think that's when they came past that, long before we had any hotels. Well, today, it varies greatly, but, between 5 and 10% occupancy tax is typical for hotels along I-25. So we could easily increase that revenue significantly and use that and say, this can only be used for parks and trails, period. No other purpose. We can dedicate it just to that. And that would go a long ways to funding the development of Central Park, but also our trail system. We have a great plan for a trail system. Now, it's not been a focus because we waited for developers to develop, and they would then build that part of the trail. And it's just a nice way to fund it. But at this point, I think we can get around to actually doing it ourselves. Let's connect our town to St. Vrain State Park. It's a beautiful park. There is a bike trail that goes underneath the highway, right there at the Central Well, at the Southwest Weld building there. There's a trail that goes right under, a bike trail goes right under the highway, right into the park. And guess what? It's free. You don't have to pay to use the park. You only have to the only reason you pay to use the park is to park your car. That's it. So, yes, Dan.
Could you hold the microphone? There you go.
Okay, sound
That'll
good.
help.
It gets a little heavy. You might, folks don't
No,
mind.
I
I'm gonna
like
sit
it.
down.
Sit down.
I'll come up and hold it.
No, I understand. As long as people don't need to see my ugly face anymore, I think I can do this just fine. Okay, So, that's the one thing we can get done, that's the park. The next thing is, we had until 2018, the town has had a great professional relationship with all of our partner organizations, such as our water district, which is Central Weld, with the sanitation district, with the fire district, the library district. We had a fantastic relationship, partnership with all of these organizations. And the mayor met regularly with these organizations. That's not the case today. It doesn't happen. The relationship with Central Well soured in 2018. And I'm not gonna go into great detail about the lawsuit. The first one was a really stupid lawsuit. Well, no, I'm gonna go ahead and get into it. That kind of starts things. Back when we were small, and we were getting ready to grow in 2010, it was not just us, but Dacono and Frederick, we all were growing, and we needed water. And it wasn't enough, the pipe wasn't big enough to provide the water to this Carbon Valley. So Central Weld invested and built much bigger pipes down here to provide us the water that we needed. And in order to pay them back for that, we agreed to take and put a surcharge, and I can't remember the number. Let's just say it's 2,000. I don't know, but let's just say it's 2,000 for a number. It was supposed to be 2,000 for X number of years, and I'm going to say 10 years. Now, all three towns were very small towns. We didn't have a lot of people working. You know, it was people wore multiple hats and all that in the building. And Central Weld was the same way. It was a small water district, and they too weren't exactly, a big, huge professional organization with full-time, accountants working on staff and those kinds of things. And all four organizations completely missed it when the date for that was supposed to terminate. So we were supposed to stop having the $2,000 upcharge on tap fees. Now, who pays the tap fees? Well, that's the people that are developing. That's the developers. They pay the tap fees. Who do they pay the tap fees to? They pay them to the town. So let's say the tap fee is $10,000. $10,000, 8,000 of it goes to the town, and then the town writes a check for the other 2,000 to Central Well to pay off the debt for the water pipes that they put in for us. And that's the way it was. And unfortunately, the 10 years came and went. Nobody, not either three towns or Central Weld, realized it until a few years later. And I don't remember exactly the number of years now, but it was a while. So the towns kept collecting this fee, kept writing a check to Central Weld, and then somebody, I don't know who, but one of the organizations realized, wait, and they stopped. So then discussions happened between Central Weld and the three towns. This is when AJ came on board. The other two towns, they're like, well, we aren't out any money. You don't owe us anything. We collected the money and we gave you the money, and we just passed it on. And they said, and of course they said, well, you use that money for infrastructure improvements of the water district, which benefited the towns. So Frederick and Dacono both said, we're good. We'll just stop collecting the money and move on. Unfortunately, AJ said, no, you owe us that money. Give us our money. Well, it wasn't our money, right? We were agents. We were the agents. We collected the money and passed it on. If they owe us the money, guess what? Then we owe the money to the developers. So his folly of this ridiculous lawsuit it didn't get to a lawsuit. It was a lawsuit, yeah. And that's when I came on as mayor. I was asked to help get the two sides together and settle this thing. I had already recused myself. I recused myself because as a citizen, I was very intimately aware of what was going on both sides, and a lot more on Central Weld. And I didn't think it was appropriate as mayor for me to have inside information on what the other side's doing or thinking or whatever. And it's just about perception. Would I have done anything with that information? Absolutely not. But it was just good policy to say, you know what, it just looks bad to have the mayor, who's been, you know, in bed with the quote unquote, with Central Well to be, and so I recused myself. But they asked me to be a mediator, and so I organized and I set up a meeting, and we met at Johnstown Library, I got Frank Jimenez was there, and AJ was there, and then on the Central Well side was their president and vice president and their director, Stan Linker. And I just got the two of them together and said, guys, work this out. There's no winners. You know, if one side's happy, then it's probably not a good deal. So I said, just work this out. And so they in principle, they worked it out. It was all said and done and put to bed. Then of course I left the board, and just because I know there's gonna be somebody over here that's gonna wanna say, he was voted off the board. Well, yes, I was. I did not get reelected. And so I will get to the questions in a bit. Anyways, after that, things got even worse again. I see you, I will get to you.
Okay.
I recognize you. Anyways, it got bad again. Just so you know, then the next lawsuit that they had, it actually was, they decided not to pay the bill. They paid part of the bill. The reason why is, okay, all of us get, I don't know if you live in, well, whether you get your water from Firestone or from Little Thompson, you have a flat rate charge, and then you have your usage charge on top of that flat rate charge. Well, that's what, in 2009, that's exactly what Central Well did. They had they went to a flat rate base charge, and then on top of that, our utilization charge. And that was discussed, there was emails going back and forth. Involved in those discussions were, at the time, our town operations officer was Wes Levanchi, and the water utility financial side of things was Julie Pasillas. And the two of them had questions. They went back and forth with Central Well, and Central Well answered all the questions. Everybody was happy, and we moved on until February of this year. And all of a sudden, oh my gosh, we're being overcharged. Well, if we're being overcharged, so is Frederick and Daycona. The exact same contract we do, exactly the same. Do they feel like they're being overcharged? No. Why? Because they weren't. So unfortunately, we spent money on attorneys. Central Well spent money on attorneys, and we went to court, and the town lost. If you put it in the term, and you're using the phrase, the judge actually said, the town of Firestone, you're like the kid that cried wolf too many times, and that's her words, the judge's words. So the town did. After that came down, the town did pay the bill. However, since then, Central Well said, you know what, we're not going to keep doing this. This relationship is just toxic, and it's costing them money and attorney's fees. That they have, just like us, they have regular direct residents as their customers, and they're footing the bill for this stuff. And so Central Well said, you know what, we're going to stop this. This isn't worth it to us. We're just going to cancel the contract. So they notified the town, and I can't remember the exact date, when August, they were going to exercise a 3-year termination notification. So they notified us that they are terminating our contract in 3 years from now. So if we don't do something, we have no water for the residents of Firestone going forward.
And Drew, can you share with everybody how much was spent on attorney fees for the court proceedings?
So that specific one, no.
No,
Bobby, what
okay.
do we have, what do you know about the attorney's fees?
Well, last year, the ones I can document, they spent over $680,000 on attorneys just in the water.
Thank you.
Justin Water. Okay, Trent, would you like to speak? Or a question?
Yeah,
Yes.
Drew, back to the first lawsuit, did Central Weld settle with Firestone?
You know what, this is one of the funny things. Okay, the answer is yes, the town did
How
settle.
much financial benefit did Firestone
None.
receive?
The town of Firestone got zero financial benefit. We got the exact same, here's the way that's worked. We got zero financial benefit. Now, AJ will tell you, and of course, by proxy, the board will tell you that we got, and I can't remember, 8,033, whatever number, they come, 8 million, 13 million, they'll come up with some number. Fact is zero. We got the exact same deal. It was already time to renegotiate the agreements between the three towns. Frederick and Dacono got, what they did was, we used to have, because back in the 70s, water loss was about 20%. So if you had one share of water, then you were going to lose 20% to water loss. Leakages in the pipes, those kinds of things. So that was the agreement. What happened and 2 years ago was Central Weld agreed to lower that loss. And that loss lowering was a huge windfall for the three towns, because we now had access to more of our water rights shares, meaning we got more water out of each share of water. So instead of getting only 80% out of a share, we got, I think it might be 10% now. The exact number, again, don't quote me, but let's just say it's 10%. So we got a good, nice windfall out of it. But we didn't get that because of the lawsuit settlement. We got that because of three towns, all three towns were gonna get that anyways, and Frederick and Dacono got the same exact deal. Now, the only thing that's different about our contract with Frederick, between Frederick and Dacono, is we have our own water treatment plant. And it has been the plan, as part of the water plan going forward, is future growth of Firestone would be serviced by that water treatment plant. And so therefore it made sense that rather than paying Central Weld part of our tap fees, that the tap fees go toward our water system and that. So we no longer pay Central Weld for any tap fees. I think there might be a few here and there, but for the most part, all tap fees going forward, the town collects them and uses them for our water system here in Firestone. So that's the only difference between the three towns, is that piece. Yes.
My name is Sam Sears. I live on Saddleback. And I'll be honest, with respect to the stadium and the soccer thing, I'm definitely opposed and against that. When it comes to the water and the situation, I don't know that I necessarily agree with all the things that are being said, and so I've come here tonight to ask some questions about it. You just stated that the contract is terminated in 3 years and we're not gonna have water. Is that true? Because I believe, don't we own the shares of water and Weld County just does the treatment and transport?
The answer is yes.
Okay.
You are 100% accurate. Question is, we own the shares, how are we gonna get the water?
Aren't there alternatives with Left Hand and Little Thompson, and it's a matter of like railroad system? So the reason why I'm
Sure,
saying
yeah,
this,
no, but yes.
there are alternatives, right?
The answer is yes.
There
But
are
you will not get those,
alternatives.
and that's fair, you know, I thank you for bringing that up, seriously.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. To get and be a part of this recall process and
Yeah.
everything like that, it's like, we gotta have facts and not just the he said, she
Right.
said stuff going back and forth. And I'm looking for a single source of truth of, you know, is there a website that has the data with, you know, how much things are costing us and where the water source is? I mean, you start looking at the data and some of these are candidly, respectfully, partial truths, right? There are alternatives, and we own the water, so we can do some of those things. Our water treatment plant, 5 million gallons is what the use is, I think, or 4 million gallons a day or something like that right now.
No.
But we treat 1.2 right now, right?
120,000 gallons a day right now.
So, you know,
That's all.
I'll be honest with you guys, right? This is where I'm trying to get the data, cause I've been told 1.2 million from the town per day on a demand of average of 4 million. So we're not there.
Well, if
But
the
then the
town's
question-
telling you that, they're wrong, and they need to start looking at their own, St. Vrain Water Authority, which none of them ever go to except the mayor and, Sean Doherty.
Single source of truth, so that's why I'm saying, I need the data, guys.
Okay, give me your email and I'll post it, cause I've got the data.
Okay, let's get back.
You cannot
I'll back-
get
I'll
our
cannot come
CBT
to you.
down here without
So-
central well.
So I, number one, I just, first and foremost, thank you, seriously, thank you. These are excellent questions and excellent comments, and they need to be addressed, and answered. The fact is, you're not gonna get a pipe going from where our water is to Little Thompson, and from Little Thompson to us, for example, in 3 years. It's not gonna happen. There's a lot, that's a lot of pipe and a lot of permitting and what do you call it, right-of-ways and all that stuff that have to be, you know, organized. That's not happening in 3 years. The fact is, so we gotta get those water shares somehow. Now, the other possibility is, of course, we have our own water treatment plant. We could just bring that water down, you know, goes down to us and treat it in our water treatment plant. The answer is yes. Again, that takes pipe, a lot of pipe, and you're not getting that done in 3 years. It also costs millions of dollars in capital expenditures, when we have a perfectly good pipe system today and a treatment system today that costs zero. Doesn't cost us an extra dime to use for that system. So, so you're absolutely correct in your statement, and everything. However, we have 3 years to figure out what we're gonna do. The fact is that, we don't need to wait 3 years. The answer can be done in about 2 days. We could have the situation with Central Weld resolved in about 2 days. Because all they said is, we're tired of dealing with the garbage that's going on. We're not gonna have a relationship with a toxic relationship with a customer. They're just not gonna do that. You get rid of that toxicity, and they're willing to work, continue to provide water, as they've done for decades to our community. And they do continue currently for Frederick and Daycona. They already, so we just agree to have the same contract that Frederick and Daycona have, and we're good. Then we got a new challenge. We have water sitting up in, and I forget the name of the reservoir. What's the name of the reservoir?
Which is this?
This reservoir.
Oh, I'm not sure what the name of it is, but yeah.
We have a reservoir that just got built,
Oh, Chimney Hollow.
Chimney Hollow.
Yeah.
It is currently being filled right now. We have water in that, we have rights to water in that reservoir. And it will be a good source of water for us, a consistent source of water.
Where's that located?
Up near Loveland. We just gotta get that water to our taps. Now, we could, run a pipe down to our water treatment plant, but again, that takes capital. We have to run pipe down here, and that's expensive. Now, Central Weld also has access to that water. Central Well already has the pipes set up to go to that treatment plant, or in that reservoir. So it wouldn't cost us a dime to just simply contract with them to treat that water. We just, add it to our water shares that we provide to them, and they provide the potable water to us. That's one way we could handle that. That's one way. It doesn't mean that's the only way. We could run the pipe, because there is a pipe gonna come down to a certain point, and then we have to tap into that. So it isn't like we have to run pipe all the way to, up to Chimney Hollow. We can just, there's gonna be a pipe that ends to north of us, miles, but not tens of miles. So then we also own, the town has shares of water in the Union Reservoir. We have the most senior rights of water rights in the Union Reservoir. And I think we all know where Union Reservoir is. Now, that water is dedicated to the Union annexation. That's the annexation of land that we have on the north side of 119 that goes from I-25 and borders like Longmont. That whole side of the highway, with the exception of like the mobile homes and a couple of things along there, that's all Firestone. But it has not developed, has not been developed. We've had that for 15 years, and as far as I know, there's still no plans to develop that land, but we have the water for that land. It's Firestone's water. It's treated by, or would be treated by, Left Hand. So could we get with Left Hand and partner with them and bring them into our partnership on our treatment plant? Sure, we could. We'd have to have negotiations and discussions, but that could be an opportunity to access that water for short-term use while we get the long-term challenges of our water treatment plant resolved. There are two problems with our treatment plant. One is getting wet water into the plant. We don't have, the plant was, imagine building a house, but doing it before your utilities are run to your house. You have a house, but you don't have any utilities to it. That's the situation that we have with our treatment plant. We built a treatment plant, we don't have the water to go into it. We have enough water, we have 5 wells, I think 5, right next to the plant that feed the water to the treatment plant. That's it. That water isn't anywhere near enough to supply water to the town for all the new development. Then we have the other problem side of it. When you have what's called a reverse osmosis plant, you have to get rid of the brine. All the chemicals that are stripped out of that water end up as a sludge, and it's toxic. So you can't just dump it. You can't dump it in the river. You can't just dump it on the ground. You have to do something with it. So they drilled a deep well, injection well, and they take the brine and they inject it. It's injected below the water table so that it doesn't affect the water or anything like that. But the problem is it gets calcification from all of those chemicals, and it has to be cleaned. And so we either need more drill wells, or we need a bigger well or something. We're limited, not just in the water coming in, we're limited in the water we can treat because we can't get rid of the brine. So no matter what, that treatment plant cannot produce what it is designed to produce today. It can't, it physically cannot. So that's the problem, but that can be resolved over time. Those issues can be resolved over time. And the town is in the process of doing that. They are looking to resolve that. But there's another problem with all that. You can't do any of this without the state of Colorado giving you permission to do it. And Firestone, unfortunately, we proposed our water plan to the state, and they rejected it. We appealed it, it was rejected. Appealed it all the way to the Supreme Court of Colorado, and they rejected it. So, even if we have technical answers to the problems, we still have the legal challenge to the water treatment plant problems. So, these are the things that need to be addressed, that aren't being addressed currently. That we're, the solution to everything with this administration is sue. We'll just sue and get it that way. Well, guess what? We're not very good at suing. We've lost lawsuit after lawsuit with these people. There's not chance in heck. So as people know, we have a lawsuit where we're going after eminent domain against the sanitation district, taking their land to drill freshwater wells on their land. That, by the way, even if they win that lawsuit, let's say Firestone wins and they get the land, we still can't drill the wells. Still can't drill the wells. Because that was already proposed to the state. It was rejected by the state. So now you gotta go to square one and start all over. So just getting the land doesn't solve we cannot get a single drop of water from that land until they go to the state and convince the state that it's okay to do that. But why is so sanitation district is of course opposing that effort. Well, why would they oppose it? Because they're a sanitation district. They treat our sludge, and I'll be kind and just call it sludge. They are regulated by the federal government, by the EPA. The EPA changes their regulations like the changing of the seasons. And they obviously look to the future and say, gee, this is not gonna be good. This is not gonna be good. But anyway, I'll get you to something here. That's why they oppose it, because number one, they want to expand. I'm gonna give Trent, and I'll come to you. They're gonna want to expand because of course they treat, by the way, they're not just a sewer plant for Firestone. They're a sewer plant for pretty much all of southwest Weld County. So I dealt seriously, and they're at the bottom of the hill. Let's face it, sludge goes downhill. So they don't have a lot of options for where they can put their plant. There isn't. There is options for where we put drill our wells. We don't have to drill on their property. We can drill them someplace else. There are alternatives to that. But anyways, I'm gonna let Trent.
I just have a couple things. I wanna have breakfast with you because I thought it was 30 million of values, but I'll catch up with you that way.
And you know what, Trent, absolutely. I'll be happy to sit down with you.
And then who's Stan Linker?
Stan Linker is the director of Central Weld.
Okay, have you and him, has he consulted you in any way with this recall?
No, not at all.
Okay, why did you send him an email on the 26th with an AI-generated draft of the petition?
Because I wanted to know what was going on, but did I
I thought
consult
you
him?
said
I did
you
not
wasn't
consult him.
consulting. Are
I
you
have
getting
not had
paid
him.
at all for this recall effort against the town from Central Weld?
Why did I let him know that? Because if we can get rid of these people, then we can sit down and have a real conversation with them and
Well,
see
why
if we
would you
can.
send him a recall, an AI generated for his input on the recall petition?
I didn't ask for an input. Yeah, show it to me, Tom.
I'll just let you have it.
I'll hit you up for breakfast, cause I would like to.
Sure, absolutely, John, anytime. Trent, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So by the way, I am open to meet with anybody, on any of this. And by the way, if I'm ever wrong, believe me, I will absolutely, be happy to be wrong, honestly. Okay, it says, I'll read it, so you know what it says. Here's a draft recall petition tailored for the town of Firestone, Colorado. I formatted it in a way that aligns with Colorado recall requirements under CRS 314501 at SEQ. While also focusing on your stated grounds, breach of fiduciary duties, and failure to collaborate with town partners. That's what I sent him. Did I consult him? No, I let him know what was going on. Why did I let him know? Because we can fix this. We are not a lost cause. All was trying to communicate to Mr. Linker is we are not a lost cause. We are trying to do our best to get through this so that we can get back on track and have a true partnership with our water district. So but thank you, Trent, for bringing that up. I appreciate it.
Don't worry, Julie, laugh.
Okay.
Was he a
Yes.
plant?
Yes.
I'm sorry, real quickly, are you not just a concerned citizen at this point, sending that letter out?
What's that?
You're a concerned citizen, you're no more than that.
That's
You don't have
correct.
any legal ramifications.
I have no legal,
There you go, so.
Yeah, that was
you can
just
send
me as a
anything you wanna
citizen.
send to anybody.
I don't even know who
Yes.
that guy was, but like I say,
So you had a question.
For 25
Yeah,
years.
Hold on, folks. Hold on, one second.
Yeah. Mark Freeman, just moved here last year, live in St. Croix Ranch. And I'm guessing you share my concern. It's pretty alarming to have the water district pass a resolution that says we don't have water supply after 2028. I read that resolution, I read the motion that the board passed, and they didn't say anything about a change in government in Firestone might change our decision, but if you have back channel information that says if we get more cooperative government in Firestone, we have an affordable water supply, I'd like to hear that.
Okay, so let me tell you, it is actually in their public announcement to us.
Drew, put the mic up.
Yeah, thank you. They actually, in the public announcement that they sent out to the public, it says in there, I believe it's actually in the resolution, it says that they've lost confidence and lost the ability to work with the current administration, our current town leadership, I think is the actual words they use. So it was not something I know from back channel. I don't have, I don't drink beers or anything with Stan Linker. He lives way up there, I live down here. Our relationship is all about the relationship of the town. We're not buddies, we don't have, nothing. Our relationship is only as it relates to this town. So, yes.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate. If the mayor is recalled or not elected, do you plan to run again?
The answer is thank you for that. I forgot all about answering that question. I have absolutely no plans to serve on the board. The reason I am sitting down right now is because I have multiple sclerosis. It is also part of why I did not, go crazy trying to run for re-election, because I'm really tired. It was really tiring to be, it was just Matt and myself. And as mayor, I didn't have, we have what's called a weak form of government, weak mayor form of government. The mayor doesn't vote. Why is that? Because normally the mayor owns the agenda for all the meetings, which would be really kind of unfair for the mayor to not only set the agenda, but then vote on the agenda. Well, in Firestone, unbeknownst to me, during the last mayor's tenure, they removed the power of managing the agenda and gave it to AJ. Now, which is completely contrary to the whole point. He is not he's not a part of the legislature. He is he's a bureaucrat and with an agenda. So you give a bureaucrat with an agenda, and this is what you got. We are right here because of the fact that he controls the agenda and he tells the board what the heck they're gonna vote on. So anyways, that's why I did not go wholehearted. Yeah, my name was on the ballot. I threw up a couple of signs. but I didn't really push it. And my wife was very happy I didn't. But no, my health, this is stressing on me right now, doing this. It is stressing, but I don't like bullies. I hate bullies. And I will fight a bully even if it means my health. And sorry, I'm getting a little emotional now. And AJ is a bully. And honestly, so are a couple of the leadership in our town board, in my opinion, have become bullies. I don't think they intended to be ones, but they are.
Do we have to wait till November to get rid of this guy?
Yes, because we don't have any power over his contract.
Okay.
In the very, very back.
My name is Gary Horner, I live over in St. Brendan. I'm gonna go off of what she just asked for my first question.
Okay?
AJ put in his resignation, most places I've worked, rather large companies, et cetera. Somebody puts in their resignation, they walk him to the door. We don't really know what AJ's doing over there right now. But I am genuinely concerned. Second question, with this whole water thing, right? How much money do we owe Weld?
We don't owe them anything now. We have paid our bill, but it was about $300,000 in arrears.
Okay, so if in fact we caught up with Central Weld, we shook their hands and said, look, we wanna move forward with some other things, but we wanna do it with you. Do you think that Central Weld would work with the town of Firestone?
Absolutely. Okay, so now you wanna get to the back channels. This is the back channel statement, okay? Cause I did talk to Stan and said, now that, now that, AJ is gone, what's it gonna take to get us on track and and he said, all we're gonna do is have somebody sit down, that we can have a true, with, good, what do you call that, not intentions,
Good faith.
good faith, sit down and work out a contract going forward. Absolutely, they would be willing to do that in a heartbeat, because they have invested quite a bit of infrastructure down here to us. And so they would love to continue to, it helps them to have ours, there's what do you call it, strength in numbers, right? Well, you can say the same thing with finances, right? There's strength, there's, having more of a larger pool makes it easier for them to then weather the storms of ebbs and tides and blah, blah, blah. So they would love to continue to provide water to this town. And I think that, and so I did talk to Stan and I asked him that, and he said, absolutely, we would be happy to move forward with the town. And I said, we have a problem, Stan, we don't have the water for the new developments. We have, right now they're building houses right there in the new development on the north side of Firestone Boulevard. There's barely enough water coming out of that plant to serve a few homes in that. It's what's 110 is what, is that what Bobby just said?
120.
120. Think about how much that is. That's not a lot for houses. I mean, that's a swimming pool, that's a half a swimming pool a day to fill a swimming pool. Swimming pool's 250,000 gallons. That's a half a swimming pool of water a day. That's all we're producing. Now, could they provide us, they have shares that they could lease us the shares, Central Well does. They could lease us the shares and continue to provide the water on a stopgap measure while we get this problem with our water treatment plant resolved. There's no getting rid of our water plant, it's there. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It was poorly designed, it was poorly executed, but the concept of having that plant is not a bad idea. It touches water, access to water that Central Weld up to the north doesn't have access to. So it diversifies our water sources greatly. So the water plant itself is not a bad idea, just poorly planned and poorly executed. So.
Who is Stan?
Stan Linker, he's a Central Well Director. John?
Okay, Drew, may I answer the other question, or?
Yes, you may.
Okay. So, I agree with you, what you said about the current town manager. So on Tuesday, I sent the mayor this text this last Tuesday, because I found out about the resignation on Monday. I said, "Dear Mayor Kanye, it has become public knowledge that Firestone's town manager, AJ Krieger, has officially submitted his resignation to the town of Firestone and that he intends to become the new city manager of Edmond, Oklahoma, on November 10th, 2025. As a concerned citizen, I think it is prudent to instruct the town's IT department to immediately deny AJ Krieger access to town information and computers. This action is reasonable and necessary security for the town so as to prevent possible breach of sensitive information, to preserve documents, and to ensure that the town's government operations are not negatively affected by possible lame duck actions by AJ Krieger. Please take the above suggestions seriously and I encourage you to act in a timely manner so as to protect the town of Firestone and its citizens. I copied the town clerk. The mayor answered me on later that day, and he said, "John, thank you. I will contact our attorney and our HR for consultation."
Yeah, okay,
So he knows.
I don't trust AJ, I don't trust their attorneys. And as I was driving back from King Supers today, I saw this box truck for for shredding, and it made me nervous as hell. You have to understand, listen, I've lived in this area for 22 years. I've seen a lot of growth, I've seen a lot of stuff happen. I don't really care. I don't have a problem if people do things. But is anybody in this room, have you had the opportunity to buy a share of land for $10?
That's the issue.
Anybody?
That was dirty.
I do know that for the last three times that it's been on the ballot, I voted no against any kind of development for Central Park. And now I find out that my vote doesn't count.
Okay, thank you very much, I think you kind of summed it up for everybody. Right here in the front, I'm gonna.
This guy's been waiting forever.
Okay.
You don't wanna call me.
Oh, gosh.
It's gonna get ugly.
Oh, gosh. Let me, we can see just a second, what, yeah, what?
Well, I had a question that segues into that.
Huh?
When the land was transferred from the previous owner to the town, were there any stipulations in that agreement of exactly what that land was supposed to be used for? Because I used to work for a lawyer, so I always think, what was in that contract? Is there anything that you all could use that could possibly stifle some of this stuff?
Oh, yes, so, just to make sure everybody heard, the question was there anything in the original, transfer, the transfer of the land to the town, were there any, stipulations about how that land could be used going forward? In the documents themselves, no. However, Colorado law is very, clear on what the land was then, once it was, transferred to the town, with, by the way, and everybody agrees, every trustee that was on and Mayor, unfortunately, Mayor had passed, but we have, there's plenty of witnesses as what was agreed to verbally amongst them, or intended. Understand, we're not talking about legal contracts here, but there is what's called intent, right? And the town then created a development plan. that illustrated what the park may look like going forward. And we've seen it, I think that there's been a few postings of what that looked like. And it's called Central Park. So everything that has ever been documented by anybody is that the land was to be used for municipal purposes, mostly park, and for some government, buildings. That's never been disputed by anybody. So, in the law, and I can't give it to you right now, but in the law, they cannot change the use of that, transfer the use of that land outside of the town for anything other than park, by law, without a vote of the people. By law, they cannot transfer the ownership. Now, they're trying to get around that with this DDA thing that they created, this scheme of using what's called a Downtown Development Authority, which is a legitimate thing, by the way. That's a legitimate thing. Pearl Street, 16th Street, Old Town Arvada, these are in themselves downtown development authorities. But they're put together by the owners of the businesses, and they create that downtown authority because they want to have control of how to best develop and improve their business environment. It wasn't designed for government to create to use as some tool for some plan. And so that's one scheme they did. Of course, that's where they decided to sell themselves pieces of property so that they were, and if you notice, if you look at the gerrymandered downtown, it looks like a congressional district. I mean, it's gerrymandered, yeah, all over the place. And if you look at Central Park, it intentionally omits the library. It is, the downtown completely surrounds the library, but the library isn't a part of the Downtown Development Authority. Why? Well, because they would have a vote. They would have a voice on what happens with the DDA. And they didn't want that. So they gerrymandered all this so that it only covered town-owned property. And then they sold themselves pieces of property so that they would be the only owners of property within the DDA. Yes?
Is there a conflict of interest clause in the state law that says that government trustees, board members cannot purchase?
There's not a direct, there's nothing that says that, as far as I know, but there is ethics clauses in the contract, or in our Constitution, about how you're supposed to comport yourself. And selling yourself property and you voting on it, that's a conflict of interest, and they're not supposed to do that at all. Yes, that's certainly something that could. But look, I'm just Drew. I did file an intent to sue, and I filed a temporary restraining order. There was temporary restraining order was denied, but it was denied because I hadn't even filed a lawsuit yet. So to not have a TRO when you don't have a lawsuit in front of them, kind of had, so that's why that failed. But that was perfectly fine with me, because all I was really trying to do was get everybody in this room's attention that this was going on, this kind of craziness was going on. Now I'll go down here to.
Thank you. Just want to make sure I'm in the right meeting. We're all here because we feel the town of Firestone leadership is woefully lacking in taking us down a road we don't want to be in. We want rid of somebody that already got rid of themselves. What is his power till November 5th is what I'd like to know. Will he be in that executive session that starts the process for selecting another town manager? Because up until now, all we've really talked about is what this poor soul that we elect as a town manager is gonna have to fix. So how do we stop AJ now? Because he's still in place, and so is our board. Do we need a restraining order? Do we need to somehow shutter them?
That's, that is that's Roger Wingenberg. By the way, he used to be president of the rec district. And he and I were on the opposite sides of
But I need to know, I mean, what's done is done.
Yeah.
And obviously we need to fix it. But how do we stop burying more bodies?
I can tell you that I certainly don't have the money to go to get a lawyer and try and do all that. And honestly, I think that in the time it would take to get that all lined up, the 30 days will be gone. At this point, I don't know if there's much we can do. Will he be in that executive session? I wouldn't put it past them. And of course, they shouldn't be an executive session. That should be an open session discussion. And as a matter of fact, that might be something that we as residents do. I would encourage to email the board, the entire board. Email them and tell them that you don't feel it's appropriate if they're going to talk about the selection process for anything, whether it's interim town manager or permanent town manager, should ever be done behind closed doors. That should be done in public, and we should be fully aware of what their plans are.
So, okay.
Yes.
So we need a lawyer is what you're telling us.
Yeah.
Do we
We need
have
somebody
money
who can
for
act
a
on our
lawyer?
behalf.
Anybody?
I don't think.
We can beat the bush and see how to do a pro bono.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to figure out how we stop the bleeding. Because isn't that why we're here?
Yes. Now,
And what is
how-
the process, like, what is the recall signature process? the
Okay, that's
timeline,
where,
all that
okay,
stuff?
I was hoping we'd got to that sooner, but we had such a great conversation. We got 15 minutes till we're done before we have to start cleaning up chairs and stuff, so let me talk about that, that's important. So we have finally received, obviously, the approval for our petitions. I have copies of the petitions here. Anybody would like to collect signatures? That would be great. There is some things about doing that process. You have to be in the presence of the people that sign the petition. You can't give it to them and go walk over there, or you can't pass it around the room, those kinds of things. You can't, you gotta witness them signing it. They do need to be a registered voter in Firestone. Not only a resident, but they need to be registered to vote in Firestone. If they're not registered to vote in Firestone, no big deal. It's very simple, online. They can register in a matter of about 5 minutes. And then immediately they are registered, and then they can sign the petition. So even if they're not currently a registered voter in Firestone, they can be instantaneously and sign the petition.
Can you put a link on a website for people to go to that link and have easy access to it?
We can't do, I looked it up, we can't do the petition online.
Not the
because-
petition, but the registry of votes.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Let me tell you what that is. That's actually it's called,
You had a question?
You might wanna double check that, because I went to the Secretary of State for signing up or re-registering or whatever I need to do to update records. It takes 48 to 72 hours for it to update. I don't think it's as fast as you think it is.
no, well, I'm trying to be, yeah. Okay, let's talk about the logistics of the system and the legality of your rights as, once you submit your registration to vote, you can sign the petition. Now, that doesn't mean that at the end of that 3 business days, that there was something wrong with your registration, that it gets kicked out, and you're no longer, in which case then you aren't registered to vote in Firestone. But it's okay, you can pretty much confidently guarantee that if you fill it out properly, with the proper information, you can sign the petition the same day as when you fill out the registration. But it is possible that it could get kicked out by the Secretary of State, in which case you're not eligible. What's gonna happen then? Your signature will just be voided, and you'll move on, and you're not included in the count. Not included in the count. Roger?
How are we doing with signatures? I may have missed that, I apologize.
Okay, I have not talked about that, because unfortunately, the person who knows that is at a Monday Night Football game right now. But I do know that on Friday night, at the Legion, I had 3 pages, 3 pages, 27 signatures, by the way, because of the way that she wanted us to have so much room for her to be legible, that I ended up, I filled out my petition, and I did it in 2 hours. I know that one other person filled up his petition. Was that you?
Yep.
And how many, so you got one, how many did you?
I got them all signed, and I probably talked to 32 people, and I got 27 signatures.
Excellent. So just between the 2 of us, we're at roughly 50 plus signatures.
If anybody wants to sign 4 more, that'll put us at another 27 for mine.
Yes. Oh, we'll need, you definitely need, oh, good, thank you for, Roger, I'm gonna have to hold off for you. I just only have 15 minutes.
Who's got the action to update us on the status of the
God.
signatures?
But, you know, I can't keep my mouth shut.
I just wanna understand week to week, where are we? Cause if we're just floundering, it'd be nice for us to know.
Okay, so now that's why I was so where we are now, we have petitions here. We need to staple them before anybody signs them. Yes, so that's happening as we speak over here, and then we can sign. And again, anybody can be a petitioner, anybody, in this room anyways. And if you only get 5 signatures, that, like you and your family and your neighbors, we would like you to sign somebody else's petition, just so you don't have any possibility of somebody suggesting that you did something, fishy. But the bottom line is, you got neighbors, and you only can get like 5 or 6 neighbors, that's 5 or 6 more. So remember, if we get 600 signatures, we've exceeded the goal. We would like to, of course, get 1,000. But right now, we have over 50 signatures, and that right there is almost 10% of what we need.
You almost got 26.
One signature per household.
No.
Verbal.
Yes.
And figuring out what areas we have covered.
And that's what I'm just going to. You're doing a great job, straight.
Just tell them they can't take the staples out too.
What's that?
They can't take the staples out.
Yes.
Drew, my name's John Spence. We live over in St. Vrain. I have a question about just what the timeline and the deadlines are for not just the signing the petitions, but also getting them counted, getting the election set and those things. So I think I've heard some things about, we have 60 days, but you can't have a recall election so many days or months ahead of a real election. So what are our deadlines and how close is it?
Okay, that's a great question, a great set of questions, actually. Timeline, we have 60 days from when we were notified, so we're about 55 days till we have to have this complete. That's official. I expect that we're gonna get more than enough long before then. What happens after we turn in the petitions? Then she has 15 days to validate the signatures. And at the end of 15 days, she has to certify or tell us that that there's issues. She then has to tell us what those are and give us another, I think, 15 days, or I forget how many days it is. 10 days to rectify those deficiencies. And then we turn them back in, and it goes like in a circle until that gets taken care of. And then once that's done, then she has to turn it over to the town mayor, and the board has to, by law, schedule the election no earlier than 30 days from when they get the piece of paper, and no less than 90 days from when he gets notified. So between 30 and 90 days, we will have an election. Now, there is another part that's deadline we're probably mathematically already kind of there, but we wanted to send a message to the board. There are 2 board members that do not, their next re-election isn't for another 2 years. And that's Ray Bird and Lorna Morton. They can be recalled. We're not under any deadline, any dates related to them. The other 3, we cannot recall them within 60 days of the end of their term. And so, since we don't control when they're gonna schedule the election, it's possible that we're within the 60 days of our 6 months of that. Don't know, but in any case, we wanna go ahead and give it a good college try.
It's the board member making a statement.
Yes, it makes a statement at the very least that where they stand, and kind of gets them to understand, wake them up to say, we have you.
So Drew, those board members that are up for reelection will be on there's a couple of things. And I wanna make sure everybody's clear on this, and please validate. In November, on your ballot, you're gonna have a question. Should we move our election, municipal election, from April to November? Vote no. If you don't want these board members in office through November of 2026, vote no on moving the municipal election from April of 2026 to November of 2026. That's number one. Hold on one second. Number two, those trustees that are up for re-election will be on the April ballot, assuming it doesn't get moved. We want to vote no on re-electing them. Is that correct?
Correct.
So it gets a little murky and muddy, and it's taken me a little bit to understand this, but I wanted to make sure everybody's really, really, really clear. If the election gets moved from April to November, we run the risk of having these officials in office for a whole other year.
But doesn't that help us actually, because then if it's a November election, you then now have a window to recall them?
You can
recall all of them then.
Yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. And
It depends on, it
Yes.
sounds like from what you're
Just
saying of
recall
like the cycle of going back and forth on the town clerk reviewing, us resolving, reviewing, resolving, and then we may potentially come up against a 6-month timeline.
Right, so here's, Frank is leading this effort. And Scott has his plan is that we hold off, delivering the petitions to the clerk until the date after the November election. And the reason why is if for some reason the election gets moved to November, that means we can then recall them because it's 7 months out till the next election. But I'm not sure I agree with that, because again, they have 30 days from time, I don't think that works out. So that was kind of his thought. I don't think it works out mathematically either. So I think that, as you pointed out, we should,
If we verify that everybody that signs is a valid voter, then I think we fall within that timeline and everything's okay.
Can you repeat that?
If we verify the voters are legitimate, it falls within that timeline and everything's okay, we fall within that.
You mean recall
Yes.
the voters?
Well, we can't, by the way, you can, and I did this when I was doing the recall last time. You can verify that somebody is a registered voter in Firestone. It is just as simple, and it's the same webpage as registering to vote. And you can make sure somebody is registered to vote in Firestone when you have them sign. You can do that.
Unless that person, has, I don't know what it's called, marked themselves as anonymous, then I actually cannot look and verify on that person.
Right.
Right, so it's a great idea in theory, but we still run into roadblocks of I actually can't legitimately verify everybody, especially if that person has chosen to hide their registration. And from what you were explaining in the volunteer meeting, it's not just that. The town clerk can kick out signatures if she feels like she can't read them, right? Or it's illegible. And I think we got some, in the last recall, we got some sort of like silly list of things of why people were kicked out. And it wasn't as easy to resolve, is that correct, Drew?
They could have been resolved. What it was we're outside in front of the post office, and we will get to the next thing I want to talk about is where. Where are we gonna be? When we're out in front of the post office, we had times when it was windy, and we have 5 petitions on the table. I have 5 petitions, and people are flipping the pages and signing them, and they're filling up the page, and the wind would come along and flip the page, and so they start signing on the top of the next page. And then you know, at the end of the day, I put all the petitions back together again, I go home, and then the next day, come back out, flip it to where the last person was on the one half sign page, and then they start with a new date. And she said, oh, they're out of order. There's no such thing. No such thing, but she did try and say that. That was one of her reasons for rejecting the signatures, is they were out of order. Yes.
During the last election, it was posted that I could vote until 5 o'clock. I came in at 4:40, I went to drop my ballot off, the clerk at the desk says, oh no, you're gonna need to talk to the town clerk. She came out and she refused to accept my ballot before 5 o'clock.
That is very interesting. That should have gone to the Secretary of
They
State.
certified the vote at noon, when it was posted it would close at 5. She rejected my vote. So if she rejected my vote, who else did she reject?
Oh, that guarantee lies.
That was the old clerk.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah, you're right though.
So, okay, let's
Yes.
talk about, where we're gonna be. And now, I spend a lot of time at the American Legion. I'm a son of the American Legion. I did not serve. My dad did. So I spend a lot of my time there, volunteering and being a part of that. So I would be happy to say, I can be comfortable to say, and I'll post this so it's in black and white, but I'm gonna say it here now. I will be there, what's today? Today is Monday. I will be there, after 5, every day this week. After 5 till 9 o'clock, 5 to 9, every day this week. I will be at the American Legion. And now, to get into the American Legion, it is a private club, so they don't just open it, you don't have an unlocked door. You go over and you have to buzz in, but it's really easy. You push the doorbell and they unlock the door.
Sign in.
And you go right in, and you go, is Drew here? And they say, oh yeah, Drew's over there, or whatever, and I'm right there. I will be happy to collect signatures. The post office, is Bobby here? Did Bobby leave?
No, he left.
So, yes, in the back.
I'll be at the Safeway on Saturday
Okay.
morning. And there are 2 entrances there, so if there's more individuals that have a petition they want signed, then they could be at one entrance and we could be at the other one.
What time are you gonna be there?
Probably between 9 to 12.
9 to 12 on Saturday. Okay, and if anybody else wants to go and gather signatures there, that
Raise
would
your
be
hand who
fantastic.
spoke. Who said that about Safeway?
The guy, I just introduced myself.
I'll see you there.
Dennis.
So, I know that, so be watching. I think, well, let's do this. I'm gonna headline a post on both Facebook and on Nextdoor that says, recall location, dates and locations. I'll headline it that, and then I'll update that with where people are gonna be. And if folks can let me know where you're gonna be and when, and I will add it to that.
Is there a Facebook page for this organization?
No, it's for Tri-Town, because that's a community-wide, and, you know, there's thousands of people in Flatiron.
So the Tri-Town Facebook
The
page.
Tri-Town Facebook page, yes. Yes,
My name's Gary Kopp. Saturday, I went door to door in my neighborhood. In about 3 hours, I had 27 signatures. It takes a little while because you're gonna be signing 6 pieces of information times 5 people. And you'll probably have a husband and a wife if you're really lucky. Maybe a kid that's old enough. So, my point is this, when you're coming out of a grocery store or a post office, not everybody's gonna have the time, take the time to sign all this stuff or fill